Last time, Jude watched the masterclass with Platinum Asset Management CEO Andrew Clifford and learned that shifting his focus to the longer term would help him achieve his goals and curb his spending habits.
If the best sports people in the world need coaches, why do we as investors not need one? We do.
He also got more detail from Mario around his financial goals and what they would cost. And today, the big reveal. Mario tells Jude about his financial plan, and Jude will discover whether he really can have it all.
Probably the biggest challenge is, Jude having a young family. Obviously, the focus is here and now. So my challenge with Jude will be to tick those boxes on the short and medium-term goals, but not forget about the long term.
It's daunting thing of what you need to lay out to get into the position where you want to have that sort of financial freedom, I guess, as an old man, but it's been a good process to start to lay that foundation, and now it's just about execution and accountability, I guess.
Time for Jude to hear how his financial plan is going to come together. His goals of home renovation and family holidays will have to be assessed against sending his girls to private school and planning for his retirement. Well, it's finale day. We're here to hear the big financial plan. How are you feeling?
A little bit nervous, but I think, certainly Mario's help. It's been a good journey.
Any surprises in this plan, Mario?
Definitely no surprises off the back of hearing about Andrew's masterclass. He talked about some really key concepts, and they're going to hold true for you and your family, Jude, for sure.
Oh, that's great. Well, look, how did the masterclass go? I'm keen to hear.
Yeah, for me, there's a few things that really resonated. I think, first and foremost, the discipline, just to, make sure that you're really across things. And then I guess that's just having a plan or a strategy moving forward.
And I think that'll probably be a great lesson for you as you do move forward.
Do sacrifices, you think?
Absolutely. Some of that delayed instant gratification for future gratification is certainly going to come into play, most definitely.
Mario's financial plan really starts with Jude unlearning bad habits in order to be able to successfully execute a long-term strategy.
In terms of the short term, renovating your home, I know that's a big goal for you as well, and certainly continuing that around having the money available to do that, paying down your home mortgage,
While Jude didn't give too much thought to paying down debt, it's clear Mario believes this is essential.
The debt burden is one of those things where you get absolutely no tax advantage from the interest you pay to the bank. So looking at your situation, paying a little bit more off your debt and saving yourself some of that interest to the bank and the term on the loan is certainly going to be a beneficial strategy for you.
But what about the garage and the stuff he wants on that really nice house we went to, Mario? Can he still have that?
Look, we're going to probably need to make some small compromises on that. So short term...
Seeing a tent?
No, so short term, look, things are looking pretty good.
So you're saying he can, or he can't have the garage?
Absolutely.
He can have the garage?
Absolutely, you can, yes.
Okay. And how does he fund this garage, though? I'm obsessed with getting him this garage, because my husband loves garages. So is that going to be a cash flow thing? Does he borrow to do that?
No, well, look, what you've got coming next year, Jude, from what you told me, is this is one of the great things with the Players Association from the AFL is the annuity scheme, that extra income that you've got coming. And that's that's great from the game as well.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's almost like a little bonus to get you into a second career, and then there's an annuity scheme that kicks in about 6 years after you play. So it's really cool.
So that's good. So that would pay for the garage?
Yeah, look, absolutely. So it's about the $15,000.
You got to appreciate that you're getting this garage from me advocating. Is he getting the goddamn garage? I'm coming to park in that garage.
So that cash flow is absolutely going to help.
So he's not going to use that for the holiday. He's going to pay cash for the garage.
Correct. So that $15,000 that comes in, so that's the money that you will use as part of your broader cash flow to be able to pay for that renovation, that garage in your home, yes.
Mario has recommended that Jude just do the garage, limit his spending, and pay cash for that renovation, not getting himself into debt.
The bigger goal that you told me was more the medium term around your daughters. I know that you and Lynette are keen to send the girls to Ravenswood. Looking at the cost of that each year, putting Ciara through in the first year at Year 7 is $30,000.
What is the total cost for both of the girls to go through the high school?
Obviously, private schooling education, with the resources that come with that, the cost is quite significant. So for both Ciara and Piper over their Year 7 to 12, the full high school time frame, you're looking at a combined number of just shy of $400,000.
Wow, there's definitely no third child coming on the way.
Mario is recommending that Jude start saving for his daughter's private education. Jude will need to contribute $2,000 a month into an investment account in order to be ready to pay by the time his eldest daughter gets to high school.
So short-term goals, priority obviously. The medium term around putting Ciara and Piper through private school, very important as well, but let's not forget about your long-term goal, which is still very, very important. The thing that I'm concerned about, and this is where I really earn the money that I earn as a financial planner, is that longer game, Jude. Your potential retirement for you and Lynette, we're really going to need to make some disciplinary change there as well around your saving strategy.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about you putting away substantial amounts of money now, but it's about starting that discipline, putting a little bit away into yours and Lynette's super. I noticed with your super balance, actually for a gentleman at your life stage is pretty good from the people that I talk to around your age.
Mario's calculated that Jude and Lynette have to put a combined total of $15,000 more a year into super in order for Jude to retire at 60 on $100,000 a year. This is $1,250 a month on top of the $2,000 a month they'll need to put away to pay for private school.
If I think longer term, if we don't put some of the things in place that I'm suggesting now, ultimately you and Lynette may have to work longer. This plan will give you and Lynette hopefully the peace of mind you need. In the meantime, there's going to be some things we're going to need to continually talk about to make sure you stay on track and keep doing what you need to do.
I appreciate all your effort.
Good work, Mario.
Thanks very
Another
much,
advice
Vanessa.
win.
Thank you.
Jude has had some great advice. He knows the extent of home renos he should do, what it'll take to save for his daughter's education, and the number to save in additional super contributions. He also learned that when he is able to, he should make paying down his mortgage debt a priority.
The main takeaways for me is probably just how chaotic my life has been to actually stop and check and almost have a bit of a plan for what's happening moving forward. And I think I haven't had the time or probably the want either to do that, and it's been a really good process for me.
I feel he's definitely engaged in the process, and it certainly makes my job easier as an advisor to work with someone who know they need to make some changes and are happy to implement those changes with some good quality advice.
Well, shipping your kids off to boarding school might sound like a good idea sometimes, but when you look at the cost of private school here in Australia, you might be in the same situation as Jude Bolton, facing hundreds and thousands of dollars in fees. For what you do and to give us some answers, I'm joined by my regular expert, Connie McKee, the CEO of OneView, and by Adnan Glinak, who's from Australian Unity. Help us shed some light on this issue, the two of you. Connie, how early do you start preparing for private school fees for kids?
I couldn't believe it because I was raised in Canada. When I came to Australia, people were basically putting their children on a list for private schools as soon as they were born and saving for it immediately. And this was a whole new, I guess, culture for me, this whole education culture and private school culture within Australia. So I would say, given the experience and what I've seen, you can't start early enough because it is quite a large fee to pay for all of the right reasons. But it also, that's not counting the extracurricular activities that come along with that. So you'd know better than me. How early should you start?
I can only agree with you, Connie. The earlier the better. Is certainly an argument to start before the children are even born. But our experience has been it's never too late to start saving.
Never too late. Okay, well that's comforting. Jude dropped his bundle when he heard it was a $400,000 bill. He did quickly promise, well, there's going to be no third child, which came as a pretty adamant statement when Mario said 400 grand. But at Australian Unity, you guys have created financial products that help people save for education. And how does it work? Tell me how you would go about doing it.
Look, at Australian Unity, we run the Education Savings Fund, which is a targeted education savings vehicle with tax incentives to save for education. It is driven by a managed fund, so really get compounded in the investment market to do the heavy lifting for you. And
so there's tax advantages to doing it.
Tax advantages.
Okay.
In very simple terms, for every $70 that you earn, you will receive $30 back in tax if you use it for education.
Wow.
Which is a very nice vehicle that enforces those discipline of saving and saving regularly and letting compound do what it does best.
Connie, you said you grew up in Canada. You know I grew up in Gunnedah, similar. And, you know, Gunnedah High was a great high school for me to do my HSC in. But, you know, what do you think? Are private schools worth it? And I know it's an opinion thing. Plenty of people, I'm paying for a private school for my kids, so my husband and I believe it. But what do you think?
You're talking to the wrong person, because I went to a multicultural public school and there's nothing wrong with that. But it doesn't matter whether it's a private school or a public school. The reality is you need to save for education. You know, the big time out for us at our school, elementary and high school, was going to the zoo and the museum, the War Museum, etc. Now people go to Japan.
Yeah, I know.
Or they go to Europe, or these extraordinary trips and exchange programs, and they still need to be funded. So it's not even the pure education, it's all the things that you want your children to be exposed to, or your grandchildren.
Adnan, do you find that people come to you just about education, or are they looking for a bigger financial plan and education's part of it? Or is it so important that they're like, just tell me how to fund the education?
Look, in more recent years, it's become really abundantly clear for us that education is up there with your major life stage sort of expenses. We see that development in the same space as funding your first home or planning for your first child. It is such a monumental expense these days. And most of our customers don't try to tackle the whole problem. It is a big amount to amaze over the long term. So our advice is think long term, but take it one step at a time and start saving. That is the key message here, is to start saving. Save regularly, contribute as much as you do, and there are a few sacrifices to make.
Well, you've nailed it. You've hit the word sacrifice. And I mean, Jude's gone through the process. He's sacrificing, renovating the pool and bathroom, but he's getting his garage. And the girls are going to be educated. I wonder what the psychology is. You know, you're saying you take it one step at a time, but, you know, I've got 3 boys and we pay for their education, and you always want your kids to have what other kids have, or the best you can give. You know, what do you think the psychology is behind it, Con? I mean, I know it is a great education experience, but there's more, right? You'd
have to talk to my mom. She's a psychologist in the family, but the reality is I have seen this absolute drive to give children the best in terms of education, and whatever that means. Some people think the diversity in a non-private school is the best. Some people think it's a private school of a certain ilk, or a left of center, private school. The reality is we all want we want the best for our children, and we don't want them to feel like they've missed out on something. And that's why education bonds, which are kind of a fit for purpose and a great complement to the compulsory savings and superannuation. And just that compounding, because you're not paying tax over that period of time. In fact, you don't pay until the end of the expiry of the education bond, and that compounding effect is a great savings vehicle.
That's interesting. And Adnan, are people taking out bonds like before they're getting pregnant, or when the baby's born? Is it like Connie's talking about private school sign up?
It's all over the place. Really, we have the full spectrum, and it's not uncommon for parents to take out an education bond when the child enters high school. And arguably, you could say it's too late. We say it's never too late, because it is about eroding and making the education cost more sustainable as part of the budgeting process. And small sacrifices that I mentioned before. It might not be the Euro trip this year. It might just be going local and going Australia. Is still
going to the flagging like I did, Adnan. That's what people need to be doing, right?
But these are the obvious principles that we sort of need to embrace. Save more and sort of spend less than you earn.
Best advice I ever got from an accountant: say, earn more, spend less. I was like, I'm paying you to give me better advice than that. Turns out it was the only advice I needed, which really learned years later. But anyway, better late than never.